Hey guys, All in Crypto here and welcome back ladies and gentlemen for another YouTube video. I hope you've all had an amazing week so far. Today guys, we're going to be doing a bit of diving into Vechain. We did say we were going to cover Vechain more frequently on the channel, so here you are. We are going to take a look at what's going on and potentially what's to come. And really what I want to spend the majority of this video doing is looking at our kind of macro path for Vechain, because in actual fact what's happening right now is relatively normal. And you can't talk about Vechain without talking about Bitcoin. The entire market is still held hostage by and essentially determined by what Bitcoin does. We know this sell-off was caused, we went into great detail with what actually caused this sell-off, how it was really a symptom of leverage and it wasn't a symptom of whales dumping. Contrary to popular belief, whales have just been in a kind of net accumulation during this period. And ultimately Vechain has been kind of dragged down with Bitcoin. But this is actually following, you guys know we have this kind of Elliott wave theory structure going for Vechain. We believe you're on your fifth and final wave, which I think is going to take you towards that $1 to $1.50 mark. Ultimately, you're still following this very, very well. And we have said for a long time that you were just here, guys. You've made that first wave within your kind of macro wave, and you're doing it in much the same fashion as you did over here. I also want to talk to you about the RSI. We are going to go over a little bit of news that they've actually we're onboarding a new client in the pet food industry. Vechain are literally capitalizing on a number of markets or a number of sectors, market sectors in China right now. They're very Chinese government friendly, which is a huge competitive advantage for them, etc., etc. But we'll talk about that towards the latter half of the video. So you are really, and this is another confirming factor that you are still, you're making these waves within your bigger Elliott wave theory. If we take a look down here, guys, this was your first impulse out. And a common trait is they never go higher than your previous high. Vechain is a laggard. We know this is due to the fact they're not listed on as many exchanges and they don't benefit from a kind of retail FOMO in the same way. It takes a little bit longer for money to trickle in. So you have this first kind of impulse. You sell off to this level here. First impulse, you sell off to this level here. Then of course you set up for continuation using this as support. This was your one wave. Now your two wave is your retractive wave in your Elliott wave theory. Then you have your third wave. So this was your two wave. You then have that first impulse, ladies and gentlemen. Two wave, first impulse. So after your first impulse, you sell off. So this is your first impulse. You sell off to this level down here before setting up for continuation. If you look at where we're at today, ladies and gents, you're at a very, very similar position. This is the wave that we're currently on. Obviously, this is your third wave, which is your retractive wave. Your fourth wave, which is your retractive wave after your third wave. You then get your first impulse out of this, kind of the doldrums, and you then, of course, come to base out before setting up, in my opinion, for more continuation in this bull run. And right now, Vechain is just really being held back by the rest of the market. In terms of an actual product, or the products that Vechain offer, they are absolutely killing it. They literally have a new partnership every single day. This is some of their partnerships, not just in China, but globally. This is the kind of pet food one that they've got going at the moment. Proven case in Chinese pet food traceability markets. Vechain's food safety blockchain SaaS onboard premium fresh meat dog food brand. Vechain is solving a problem that is worth essentially trillions of dollars. The counterfeit goods market in terms of clothing and designer brands is huge. When you get into the kind of medicine, the counterfeit medicine, the fake kind of drugs market, and then you get into like counterfeits food, Vechain essentially could completely solve this. They are offering a real solution to a real world problem. And this is why I like Vechain so much. I also like Vetho. We've been getting very heavily in, and we may make a video on Vetho, which is kind of like the DeFi arm, if you will, of Vechain. Very interesting what they're doing, and they're actually gaining some partnerships with a lot of gaming companies, etc., etc. So we think that this is normal. Every impulsive move you get, 147%, you get a sell-off of 40%. Another impulsive move of 400%, you get a 43% sell-off. Impulsive move, sell-off. And this is really how people always ask me, why is the price going down? This is how markets work, ladies and gentlemen. Every time you get an impulsive move, you will get a pullback to the downside. And that's exactly what Vechain's done today. Can you see this? Impulsive move of nearly 179% to not expect a pullback. And I ultimately believe that, to be quite honest with you guys, you are unlikely to go lower than this. I think Bitcoin largely is going to continue from here. It's a very tight call to make for Bitcoin, because there is definitely a scenario where you kind of come lower, where you fail this, but there is also that kind of scenario where you keep going from here. And ultimately I'm leaning more towards the bias that we continue upwards. I think we are in a bull market. I think crypto's on this amazing journey of adoption, and we are very early in that adoption curve. So ultimately I think this is the kind of bottom for Vechain here, and I think right now you're just doing a very similar thing to what you did, and we keep mentioning it at the start of your three wave, sorry. So you come up, you sell off in. Can you see this? First wave in, all have the same traits. You come up, you sell off, you don't go above your previous high. You don't go above your previous high. And today, look at what you're doing. Previous high up here, you come up, you sell off before setting up for continuation. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is essentially what we're looking at. And the entry point that we're really looking at is when this 50 EMA, I should have really put the simplistic moving averages on, but I look at the simplistic moving averages when I'm trying to really time and look at def crosses and bull crosses and all these kind of indicators. But essentially when this 50 or 55, whatever you're using, will touch this 20 in much the same way that it does here. Every time it does it, you get an impulsion to the upside. And that's kind of what we're waiting for a confirmed entry point. I have been accumulating Vechain down here. I've also accumulated a little bit here, not as much as I'd have liked, but ultimately I'm really looking and paying attention to Bitcoin, and the volume's just non-existent. So ultimately the run for Bitcoin, whichever way it decides to go, is going to come with a spike of volume. I'm biased towards the bull case, and ultimately I think Bitcoin's got a long way to go. I think there's too much news happening globally in regards to cryptocurrency and where it's going, and all these new and wonderful news cases popping up out the woodworks to be bearish. I honestly think that this technology is going to do extremely well. I think at a $2.17 trillion market cap, we are still very early. So I am bullish. The market does seem to be taking a bit of a downturn today. Of course, that's completely to do with Bitcoin. But and this is why I'm reiterating this to you, you need to have a macro view on things. If you're just looking at a 4-hourly time frame and you just, up, down, okay, we're going up. Oh no, we're going down, we're up. Okay, we're going to keep going up. No, we go down. You're just going to get blown all over the place like a leaf in the wind. You need to be rooted like a tree. You need to have some sort of method, some sort of understanding in what you're doing, and the rest will follow. And right now, guys, we do believe that this Elliott wave theory structure is in play. How do we get in validated? Well, let's say, for example, you had some sort of a macro ABC correction. You fall below this fourth wave low. That invalidates the fifth wave and the entire structure. So that's something that you need. If you fall below here, guys, then we need to kind of come back to the drawing board. In fact, there's key levels that if you fall below before we even get to this point, then you need to kind of re-look at your macro kind of outlook. But right now, guys, I think we're still very much in play, and we do this every single Vechain video. Where are we? This is what you're doing, guys. Very, very similar to what's taking place today. You see this? Very similar. Even with this sell-off here, guys. Sell-off here. Very, very similar. So we're not worried at all. This was an interesting partnership. They've already got pet food brands on board. This came out yesterday. This is, who doesn't like pets? This is huge. According to the research, the Chinese pet food market was valued at a US dollar of 1 billion in 2020. So it's 1.5 billion now, and essentially dog food is the largest segment, occupying a share of 53%. So they're already, this is just one industry of many, and like I say, they're already working with the Chinese government across a number of, let's see if we can find that, in the kind of medical field, which is really where I think you're actually going to see Vechain shine, because in the medical field it is literally life or death, and something like blockchain, which is immutable, emotionless, and very secure in many cases, is really going to fit that use case. Take a quick look at the market cap before we wrap things up. $7.6 billion. Like I say, the entire market is selling off today slightly. due to Bitcoin kind of throwing a bit of a temper tantrum. But in my opinion, this really isn't anything to worry about. That's all I have for you in this video, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to love and leave you on that note. If you've enjoyed the content, a like is always appreciated. So is a comment. Ultimately, we've not spent a lot of time looking at the sort of 4 hourly and the 1 hourly just because we're so fixated on Bitcoin right now and what direction it's going to take. There's lots going on in the world that actually affects the crypto space, not just Bitcoin. So when you look at these altcoins, what you're really doing is saying, okay, is Bitcoin going to permission it? And then is the macroeconomics going to permission it? And if you don't look at those and just look at the altcoin, you're going to get caught out. So that's really what you want to do. So we're spending a lot of the time looking at Bitcoin. I'm still biased towards the upside. I think this structure that you're in is very similar to this one over here and very comparable. And ultimately, you know, I do expect continuation in this bull market off the back end of it. That's all I have for you in this video, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to love and leave you on that note. If you've enjoyed the content, a like is always appreciated. So is a comment. And I'll see you in the next one, guys. Thanks a lot for watching.